So Polaris has announced the release of the 2020 Polaris General XP 1000, and it looks like an awesome side by side. There's like one or two little things that that kind of bug me, and we'll get into those. But overall, I mean, what an awesome looking machine. Let's check it out. Welcome to another video on the 2020 Polaris lineup. Today we're focusing on the General, and if we're just meeting for the first time, I'm Chris, this is Navigate Offroad, where it's all about bringing you the best in off-road information, destinations, and reviews. So if exploring the unpaved is your thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, before we go any further, let's bring it in here. You want to see it, right? Like, I mean, it's the Polaris Jet. It's a beautiful machine. Let's bring it in here. I tried to clear this all out, so let's get it in here. Bring it on in. Bring it on in. All right, there we go. You believe that's here, right? Like right about here. That seems legit, right? In fact, check it out. I'm so strong, I can spin it like it's on a pedestal here, so you get a whole view of it. Is that stupid? My bad. But you got to admit, I mean, it's a beautiful machine, an absolute beauty. Even if you're not a huge Polaris fan, like. The General is just, it's a good looking machine. You know what, I want to get closer to the camera, so I'm just going to go ahead and push this guy out. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. I just want to get a little closer so we can talk about the specs, because this thing is pushing 100 horsepower with the same old Prostar engine that Polaris seems to be putting in almost everything nowadays. And I say that, but I really don't mean it in a bad way. In fact, the 100 horsepower on this is actually class leading. The 100 horsepower on the General is class leading. And to put that in perspective, if we look at the Canam Commander Limited, which I consider the comparable model, has 92 horsepower. This Polaris General has 100 horsepower and is leading the class. And that 100 horsepower, by the way, also gives it a 1,500 pound towing capacity. Now, when we look at the wheels and suspension on this thing, I really do love the look of this thing. I mean, even these wheels on here, it's just almost like they're designed for this machine. The tread pattern and everything is just a perfect fit for what the General is. Speaking of the tires, these are 30-inch Pro Armor Crawler tires, which, by the way, is also leading in its class. So the horsepower is leading in its class, and now the tires are. And these beautiful 30-inch tires are wrapped around 15-inch race wheels. Be honest, I don't know about the race wheel thing, like why we're calling them. It kind of seems like a marketing maneuver, like race wheels. Like, it's on a Polaris General. Who cares if they're race wheels? And is that just me? Leave a comment down below. But the words race wheels on maybe like a Maverick or a Razor is one thing, but you get what I'm saying. Or maybe you don't, and I'm just rambling. So let's go back to the tires, which are held on by high clearance A-arms that provide this thing 13.5 inches of ground clearance. Guess what? Guess what? Best in its class. So that's three. That's three we've got. The horsepower, the tires, and the ground clearance. And again, to compare that to the Can-Am that we talked about earlier, that has 11 inches of ground clearance. So that's 2.5 inches higher. Now, here's my complaint. And I know I'm nitpicking, right? Because I do love this machine. So I'll be the first to say I'm nitpicking here. I would have liked to have seen maybe like 14 inches of ground clearance. And I say that because they've quite literally upped the Scrambler in the Sportsman to 14.5 inches. And that's an ATV. So I really, for some reason in my mind, thought when they released this, it would probably be somewhere around the same ballpark. But I can get over that. I know I'm nitpicking at that point. So as we follow these A-arms, we will find Walker Evans Velocity shocks. And by the way, this has 14 inches of travel on the front and back. And as we swing around to the front of this thing, you might notice that it has a 64-inch width. Now, 64 inches is one of my favorite widths. And you might be thinking, what is wrong with this guy? How does he have a favorite width? And I do. And I'm going to tell you why. Here's the deal. 50-inch side-by-sides, I love them. They're great. They're awesome. They fit in tight spots. You can bring them on all the trails. They're just awesome machines. But they're narrow, right? Like, they're pretty narrow, especially when you get in some of the larger trail Mavericks and Razors. And then you've got, like, the 74-inch. We're out to, like, 74 inches with some of the Mavericks now, or the more common 72. And they're getting to be behemoths, right? And I know, like, some of you in the West, you love them. I get it. I understand. It works for you. It's not for me. That's why it's great they make so many different models. But to me, like the 64-inch machine, it's wide enough to have a good base, but still narrow enough to fit in some tight spots. You can license them in all the states. They're great stances. So Polaris, me, 64 inches, that's where I'm at. All right, so now that I've berated you with more information about me, let's cover some other features on this General, starting with the fact that this tilting box has a 600-pound capacity. And then as we swing around the side, you will find these high coverage fender flares, which I'm a huge fan of, especially on the General. It's going to kind of keep some of that mud from kicking out at you. Kudos to Polaris on that. On the front end here, you're going to see this low profile bumper, as well as a 4,500 pound winch. Now, when we step into the machine, you're going to see a Rockford Fosgate premium audio system, which has 4 speakers, a 10-inch subwoofer, all being pushed out by a 400-watt amp, all which can be controlled from the upgraded Polaris Ride Command, which I have to talk on because about a year and a half ago, we did a video on Ride Command, more specifically the app, and some of the features included in the app that I just thought were kind of crap. One of which, and this is going to apply, was the fact that they offer all this track other riders, right? So you all turn the app on, you're in a group, and you can track each other's rides and all that stuff. That's great in theory. You know, like if you're riding your four-wheeler in the middle of New York and have amazing cell phone coverage. Hey, do we have any video footage we can put in here of us riding our four-wheelers around in New York City? Oh no, that's right, we don't, because it's highly illegal. So the point I'm making is this. While the concept is awesome in theory, where most of us ride, cell phone reception, especially data service, is spotty at best. So it just doesn't work well. But what Polaris has done now is they've added a new antenna onto the General that's supposed to allow for better vehicle-to-vehicle tracking with Ride Command, which is awesome. I dig it. I think it's cool. I love the idea of being able to track riders and kind of see where everybody's at on the trail. Maybe that's the nerd in me. I don't know. But I think it's super awesome, so I really look forward to checking that out. So my personal thoughts on this overall are this. I think it's an awesome machine. I'm super pumped about it. I really look forward to hopefully test driving one soon. I'm a huge fan of the Polaris General, much like the Canam Commander, in the sense that it's kind of like the hybrid side-by-side, if that makes any sense. So it's a utility machine, right? It's got the utility features, but it's also got a lot of the nicer features or features you'd find in a lot of trail machines. Not so much the speed demons like the Maverick or the Razor per se, but with this XP1000, you're still going to get some of that, but you're also going to get the utility, and you're also going to get the comfort of riding trails. So it's just, in my mind, one of the best well-rounded side-by-sides on the market. And because of that, I think it's awesome. I'm super pumped about it. By the way, I didn't mention this yet, but this also comes in a 4-seat option. So there's that as well. Now, I do have something that might sway your opinion on this yet. And that is the fact that it is $22,999 US and $26,699 Canadian. Now, I realize in a day and age with X3s and Pro XPs and all that, where we can spend like $30,000 on a machine, 22, 23 may not seem that bad, but it still is. It's a ton of money, especially when you can still get a nice side-by-side for like $15,000. So, oh, and by the way, the 4-seater is going to be $24,999 US and $31,199 Canadian. So again, huge price tag. Amazing machine, but amazingly large price tag to go with it. All right, so I hope this video is informational. I hope you learned something new about the 2020 Polaris General. I also hope that we will be test driving and doing a full review on these soon. But in the meantime, you can check out other videos from our 2020 Polaris lineup here, as well as just to check out our latest video, look at this one down here. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope to see you on the trail.